Hold on, we're missing Kevin.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Come on, Kevin. You all right?
Or you can sit until he comes down.
Not in there.
There he is.
He's coming here.
And in the office.
That's fun.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stand for a moment of silence. Frank Whipple. Just known as an old-time, was an old-time Montgomery person here. He was on the village planning board for many years and he was very involved with Little League. A lot of us know his wife, Joan, who was the elementary school principal for forever. Frank died the other day in long sickness, and you know, Joan took those for better, for worse, for sickness and health. She took that right, those vows right to the end, and God bless her. And you hold in silence. All right, thank you. Everything we go over between last meeting and this meeting was I go over between the meetings, what happened last meeting, this one. Please, folks, when you shovel your sidewalks or in your driveways, don't shovel them into the street, please. We're not looking to give people tickets like I said last meeting, but you can't shovel them into the street. This one I'm going to say really, really bothers me. The city of Kingston is a beautiful city. I've spent a lot of time up there, and unfortunately, they're canceling their Memorial Day parades because of low turnout. That's bullshit, okay? That is, you don't do that. You don't do that. It's a low turnout, and we had the same turnout with December 7th here with Pearl Harbor Day. There wasn't that many people there. We have to educate people. We have to get them out there. Memorial Day. Memorial Day, okay? What is the next thing we're going to cancel? 9/11 ceremonies? What we honor? You can't cancel Memorial Day, and as long as I'm the mayor here, I'm going to make sure that goes through. Okay, that's not happening. On a positive note here, nice thing, our future chief here, Joe, and Kevin, we discussed this, is we'd like to start a police cadet program in this village. I was a police cadet growing up. It's a great thing. It's really, really a great thing. It looks good on the resume for anybody who's going into law enforcement, and we use them. We save money on it. Right now, we hire people at General Montgomery Day. We hire people to do crosswalks or whatever the police department uses them. As a cadet, I did things like that. I did whatever they had us do. But if you're you want to go into law enforcement, you're in college, the police cadet program is very, very good. Future Chief Joe here is definitely interested. Kevin was involved with the scouting. My family's all scouting, and I'm all for it. So that's something we're looking for in the future. The food bank of the Hudson Valley. We were there. Kevin and I were there yesterday. We were invited there by Barry Lewis. Barry Lewis is the regional director of the Hudson Valley Food Bank. I've known Barry for over 40 years. When he worked with the record, he was a really, really good guy. And I tell you, you're looking for a career job, you don't have to go too far. The Hudson Valley Food Bank is a career job. I mentioned this once before. They start out at a good salary, they have a 401k medical. They're a great place. They promised no trucks through the village unless they had to make a local delivery. And like I said, I was skeptical when they started. Now I'm happy they're in here in the village. And they're also looking for volunteers too, so that's a good place. I was at the Cub Scout 125 crossing the bridge the other day. It was good. You go from Cub Scout to Boy Scout right down here in the senior center. Very, very key. Very nice. This is, I'm glad I was invited. Also, my grandson, he didn't cross the bridge yet. He's moved up a little bit to a bear. But that's pretty good. These guys here, they've been chasing their tail, fixing streets. Today I got a call from a resident about a hole in the sidewalk right next to the grade, the next bus stop down from where I stand. They're out there like quick, but, and they're gonna, I guess you're gonna rebuild the thing there. I mean, they're fantastic. They're really fantastic. Hometown banners, hometown hero banners. I got my father and father up here. Thank you to Joanne, takes care of them. If you want to continue for another 2 years, the renewal is $100 per banner for 2 years. They take them in the wintertime for obvious reasons, and they're going to put them up. I guess they'll probably put them up, obviously, before Memorial Day. So if you want to get in there, contact Joanne and send a check for $100 per banner, $33 a piece at Bridge Street. That's it. We were going to give Bill a plaque there, our police chief that's retiring, but he's not here. So we'll hold off on that. All right, and moving on from there. New business. We want to adopt a resolution to approve the senior dining contract of $28,198 for the period of January 1st, 25 to December 31st, 25. Make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'm opposed.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, Mayor, what was last year's price? Was there much of an increase or any increase at all?
I mean,
It's the same.
I think it was right around the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same.
it was, okay.
Just curious.
Next, adopt a resolution to accept all donated items purchased with the money from Medline Foundation. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Next.
Ready?
We don't have to read it,
What's that?
we don't have to read it or do anything, it's just noted on the resolution and that's it?
I mean, the board has the resolution, were there any questions?
No. Aye.
Approve the resignation of Sergeant Roy Warner effective February 1st, 2025. Make a motion.
I'll make it with regret.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the resignation of Police Chief William Hurley effective February 22nd, 2025. All in favor?
We need a
Make a
motion.
motion, I'm sorry. Make a motion.
I'll make that motion with regret.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adopt the resolution to approve meeting decorum rules. Make a motion.
Will we discuss briefly or do we make a
Oh,
motion?
second
We have
is
to
for,
second it first.
second is for discussion.
You know, it's,
I made the motion, you second.
Second.
I'll second it for discussion.
All in favor?
No, discussion.
No,
Oh,
discussion.
I'm assuming everybody on the board read through them and is in complete agreement?
Yep.
Which I'm
Yeah.
surprised, I mean, personally, I just thought there would be some corrections or additions. That came out completely wrong, I did not mean that, I'm just saying, first cut, come on.
I have some, but
Is there anything, I mean, that we can amend these and still approve them and just with the changes going forward, correct?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'd like to ask if there were any changes that need to be made, I'm open for,
should we just go through each one of them so we can
Yep.
vote it to the public in here as well?
I'll read the objective section. So what I did is I put together a list of what I thought we can consider as a framework, the board to help us understand or at least have some guidelines. You can't enforce rules if you don't have them, but basically the objective was to establish basic behavioral rules and ensure order, respect, enabling the village government to conduct public business in an open, safe, and transparent fashion. The citizens of this village may be fully aware of and observe the performance of public officials and the deliberations and decisions that contribute to the making of public policy. That the governmental process continues to operate for the benefit of those who created it. And those words are not mine, they're actually taken in part from NICOM and then the New York State Public Officials Law, which they said it better than I could, so I chose to quote them. But going forward, rule number 1 that was put up for consideration was the mayor or presiding officer shall convene the village board promptly at the hour for the convening of the village board and shall preserve order and decorum. Any issues with number 1?
No.
No, I don't know.
Number 2, the mayor shall recognize council members for the purpose of debate on any question under consideration in the order members have requested recognition.
Can you
Basically,
clarify
that's,
that?
I'm sorry?
Can you clarify what you mean by that?
It's a lot simpler than what was in the NICOM book. Basically what it says is the mayor will recognize board members when they're requested to speak on a matter, rather than it just being a shouting match or speaking over each other. It's just a matter of order. Do we need to add something to that line item to make that clear, or are we good?
So I can't speak unless I'm called on?
Yeah, the mayor presides at the meeting, it's generally, the mayor recognizes someone who requests to speak. It says the mayor shall recognize, doesn't give,
Yeah,
doesn't say may, it says shall.
yeah.
But if I'm speaking out of turn, you can warn me and then remove me.
That's
according to
later
the
on, we
rest
haven't
of
got
us.
there yet.
So I have to be called on to speak.
Well, we all would have,
We all,
We all do.
we all have to.
I'm just saying I don't agree with that.
okay.
Well, I'm not sure if it was Robert's rules or another samples from the state side, it actually was a little bit more restrictive than that, that said board members cannot speak, absolutely cannot speak or respond without the mayor's permission, or because he's presiding. I thought this was a little less restrictive in that it says it shall recognize. He will, just it establishes an order, as any of us would expect. But to your point, we can cover that a little later on. Yeah. To your note, we'll cover that later on with the out of order.
Will and shall aren't the same word.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So number 3, scheduled speakers from the audience shall address the village board as a whole in an orderly manner and shall not address the audience without authorization from the mayor. That's because the opportunity to speak with the board is just that, to speak with the board. And unfortunately, we have had, whether they did not know or done intentionally, they're speaking to the audience, and that's not the intent of the meeting. It's time with the board. Speakers must adhere to the established time limit and may not transfer their allotted speaking time to other persons. Are there any issues or changes for item number 3?
I would like to strike and may not transfer their allotted speaking time to other persons. The rest of it I totally agree with. But if somebody wants to give up their time and they're on the agenda to speak and somebody's going long, why wouldn't we give them the 3 minutes and let them transfer? It's not like we have unbounded time for people to speak. They're already on the agenda.
I agree 3 minutes can be a challenge at times, but this was taken out of the suggested rules, but maybe the attorney could give us some best practices from other municipalities.
No one's ever allowed to transfer their time to another speaker. Not in, but listen, I don't represent every place in the world, but I've not experienced a municipality that allows speakers to give their time to others.
And
let's start here.
And in how many of the municipalities that you represent do you have to sign up a week beforehand to be on the agenda to be recognized?
You have to sign in, some of them that night,
Yeah, a lot that night, yep.
and others, you just raise your hand. Doesn't mean you have to do it that way.
Right.
That's,
So could we agree, this is a living document like everything else, that it can be adjusted going forward? If we see that there is a need for change, or there's some,
On that same
no,
note,
I'm just trying to go with what was customary here, on my rules.
on that same note though, we allow people to speak. There's 172 now municipalities in the state of New York that do not allow people on an agenda.
Again, we're hoping the rules preserve that as well. I think that's part of the intent, is to preserve the order so we can have that luxury. Okay, as noted, I'll make a note of that. Number 4, all speakers, including the mayor and village board members, shall refrain from partisan political commentary, personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks directed at any member of the board, staff, or general public that disrupt the meeting. Any person who makes remarks or otherwise disrupts the meeting with loud outbursts, shouting, threats, or other disruptive conduct shall, at the direction of the mayor, or after a motion and majority consensus of the board, be ruled out of order, which is to serve as a warning. After receiving a warning, any person who persists in disrupting the meeting, the mayor or the village board majority shall order that person to leave and may utilize law enforcement to enforce such if necessary, which I'm hoping we never get to that point. But to boil this down, it basically says board members as well as audience members do not have the right to engage in disruptive behavior. Now, I know from past training that that can be a slippery slope. If we need to add verbiage to that, then I'm open to it. But the nature of it is real threats or disruptive behavior, because again, the purpose of the meeting and open meeting law is to allow residents, people, to observe their village government doing business. So, even though you're on that side of the table, please understand we are trying to do business. It may not be to your agreement, but we need to maintain order.
I would like for it to be more objective,
In what
that's the
sense?
way that it's written.
In what sense?
I feel that it's subjective, and I would like it to be a little bit more, of some more parameters that are very clear as to, I think it should be expanded to allow for the expression of opinion, expertise, and experience of all of the attendees, us and the residents that are here, within the approved guidelines of things like expletives, volume, time, etc., that hinder the productivity of the public meeting and are more concrete and objective set of parameters. Like, this is great. It's a great draft. Will's policies that are incorporated in his draft are great, but I just think some of these things are limiting and subjective, and I'm trying not to be negative. I'm trying to see, can we make it more objective?
That's why we're having a discussion now.
I'm happy with it.
So the question I do have along that line is you don't want to be too specific. You don't want to infringe on First Amendment rights. My understanding is that even while we say profane, we're hoping, again, that a warning is more than enough to remind you. I'm not so sure that, did we cross the line with not being more specific? Do we need to be more specific?
It can't always be 100% objective. I understand what you're saying. But with something like this, there's no 100% objective standard. So it's a little, what language are you suggesting that's not in here that you'd like to see in here, I guess is my question.
I guess I would like to take some of the language out of it, to be honest with you. I mean, I just feel like a lot of these statements are all very subjective, so who's to say that someone doesn't feel
Personal
that?
attacks are personal attacks. I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Slanderous, profane remarks directed at any member of the board, staff, or general public.
Well, loud outbursts or shouting or threats, what's the volume, what's the threat, like, if someone's animated or they talk loud, sorry, James talks loud, all the time, he's loud. I mean, Don Berger, sorry, the way you project your voice is loud, some of that stuff is subjective.
There's a
I don't
difference
wanna
between being,
nitpick, but,
there's a difference between being loud when one is addressing the board when they have the floor versus loud, this says loud outbursts. So we don't want, we certainly, nobody likes that, right? I mean, that's not something that we're looking for. As far as, it's really
can we
not.
add, okay, so now we're utilizing law enforcement to enforce if necessary. Can you be clear on what deems that necessary, if there is a clear threat to the safety of the people in the room?
Well, in the context of the open meeting law, the audience is allowed to observe. And we do allow a comment section with, I think, the implied or expressed expectation that it be done without slanderous, profane, loud outbursts, disruptive behavior. It's not only disrupting the board's ability to do their job, which they have the right to observe. If somebody in the audience is being disruptive, and we're not talking about somebody forgetting and speaking too loud or being forgetful along those lines, we're talking that deliberate act, which disruptive is, they're infringing upon the rights of the person sitting next to them to observe the government doing their job. So it's not just an inconvenience to us, they're taking away from you your right to observe us trying to do our job. That's the nature of it, and again, I had more specifics, but the more specifics you put in, you're closing that fence down. So there's the spirit of it, and then there is some of the specifics. Again, I thought with the words, partisan political commentary, impertinent, slanderous, profane remarks, things that are generally not acceptable in public speaking. None of us want to be subjected to. It also says that board members as well, and the reason why it says that the mayor or a majority vote, it might be the mayor that's out of line. I'm not saying the specific mayor, I'm just saying in any given set of circumstances, we can't exclude anybody from having a momentary lapse of reason or decorum.
Wait, and can I just clarify too, you said, like, if I read this right, otherwise disrupts, which means that if someone else is talking, sorry, I'm losing my voice, but if someone else is talking, the outburst would come from somebody who disrupts the person who's trying to talk, or the village board's trying to conduct
Yes.
business, right?
Yes.
So that's what I think what we're talking about. It doesn't really mean someone who projects themselves loud when it's their turn to talk. It's the outburst of somebody else who maybe you disagree with somebody what they just said. I think that's what, it's a disruption with an outburst, shouting, threats, and those type of things. I mean, it's unfortunate we have to have rules like this, but I understand.
Yeah, the last sentence, after receiving a warning, any person who persists in disrupting the meeting, mayor of the village board majority shall order that person to leave and may utilize law enforcement to enforce such if necessary. I would add there, any person who persists in disrupting the meeting and becomes a threat to public safety. So we don't like taking people out. I mean, if they're completely out of control, then they're gonna go. But we don't, the general situation would be a public safety issue.
So if somebody is continuing to be loud so that we can't hear and talk, there's really no safety issue there, but they are disrupting our ability to perform. And this is where we're dancing that fine line, I know. And listen, I would hope that in the village we live in, despite people's passion, that we don't go down that road. I didn't want to put that line in there, but it was part of the reference text that got a lot of this from.
If we got that crazy, I would look to even stop from having an agenda. I would just stop, then you just sit in the audience and you listen to us. I don't wanna do that. I think the public needs to speak, so that's why we have an agenda. But if it gets to that point, then we're gonna have to do like the 172 other municipalities do.
Do we want to reconsider that verbiage and,
Give me a second. I'm trying to tone my own suggestion.
Yeah, last thing our police department wants to do is eject somebody out of the public meeting.
yeah,
Not the reason why you all come here.
The mayor of the village board majority shall, instead of shall, they shall have the discretion to order that person to leave. Instead of shall automatic.
What is it, shall want?
Right now it says, the mayor of the village board majority shall order that person to leave. I'm suggesting a slight modification that says the mayor of the village board majority shall have the discretion to.
okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah,
Okay.
Are we good?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Number 5, the village attorney, and I think we just saw an action, shall act as the parliamentarian to assist with procedural questions upon the request of any member of the village board. Basically says he's here to advise us. And legal policy and procedure. And number 6, which is the final one, tried to keep it to 5, but we had to cover a little bit more. Improper commentary, debates, and arguments initiated by the village board members during public meetings or during requests to address the board are prohibited. Village board members who expand their comments during public comment section, also known as request to meet with the board, beyond simple statements of questions, comments, and/or relevant opinions may be ruled out of order by the mayor or a motion and majority consensus of the board. And I just want to be clear, this number 6 is not of my creation. This is right out of the NICOM book. So what it does is it recognizes that I could be out of line in my comments as much as anybody else could be. So there has to be provision, but it's open for discussion.
This is taking into consideration that you're trusting that your board is representing you and looking out for you and wanting to hear you. And if they are, then this is fabulous. And if they're not, it's a way that we can make sure that people can't say what they want to say, and that concerns me. Paraphrased from the New York State website, if the American system of government is to function properly, citizens must actively participate in its operations at all levels, but especially at the local level. Local officials have both a responsibility and stake in keeping citizens fully informed about local programs and activities and giving them clear opportunities to play a meaningful role in determining local policy and carrying it out. The history, tradition, development, and patterns of local government in New York State are based on a belief that responsive and responsible citizenry will remain and maintain a vigorous, informed, and continuous participation in the process of local government. A basic principle upon which New York State local government with its broad home rule authority is constructed is that local community values can be fostered and served, assuring meaningful participation by citizens in government at all levels in the face of the complexity of contemporary society is one of the great challenges of American democracy. The structure of government itself provides avenues of a more formal character for citizens to express their interests and concerns, such as public hearings and open meetings of legislative bodies. All local officials have a basic duty to assure that citizens have ways to participate actively and meaningfully in local government affairs. I would like that sentiment to be a little bit more in the 2 drafts that we have, yours and Will. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think the intent of the rules is to protect that right, that people have the right to participate. And unfortunately, rules are usually put in place to curb undesirable behavior, and that's what the rules are guided at. It's understood that people have the right to speak, and we're always very aware of the First Amendment rights and not infringing upon those. Again, I'm open for suggestions, but to turn a blind eye to the fact that the board should be able to say anything they want or carry on in any way they want, and I'm not looking at any particular instance, I'm saying this came from a reference document, and I thought it was important to include it, because the public is allowed to participate, but if you have a board member that interferes with that, then there needs to be a rule that addresses that, in my opinion. That's all. And that rule applies to me as much as anybody else.
It applies to all of us.
Yes.
But at the next meeting, I can show up and want to read that, which is a very benign statement, and be told no, based on the rules that we're adopting this evening. Am I right or am I wrong?
What you said was an improper commentary.
But I have to be,
Can somebody just
hold
stop?
on.
But let's be clear.
I'm asking before I read
I'm
something.
answering your question, and let's be clear. This language, which is taken out of the playbook, improper commentary, debates, and arguments initiated by village board members, no one interrupted you just now. I didn't, the mayor didn't, none of the trustees did. So what is the question?
Because we didn't adopt these rules yet. And once we adopt these rules in this policy, then we're beholden to it.
But if let's back up. If these rules are adopted, and number 5 stays, which makes me the parliamentarian, my opinion would be what you just read is not improper commentary, debate, or argument. It's just a point that you raised. So that would be my answer if these rules are already in effect.
The intent is not to chill any kind of freedom of speech. It's open to opposing opinions. Time and time again, you can have a great idea, and I've lived through that, and somebody else comes up with an opposing idea, you should sit and consider it, because many times there's a thread of truth or something that will also improve what you've set the groundwork for. So, that's why we're discussing these, because I expect input, and was surprised when I didn't hear too much in the beginning, to improve it.
Right. But any kind of debate like that on an issue that's before the board is not an improper debate. That's what you guys are here for, to, on occasion, those times you don't agree on an issue, you have a discussion or a debate. That doesn't make it an improper debate.
But it needs to be constructive.
According to whose opinion? Because I've been told we're moving on when I'm talking about something that we don't want to hear. That's happened here.
Well,
Can I, so, just to play this out a little bit, if I wanted to comment on something, would I not be asked to be recognized by the person who's running the meeting? And then I would be able to speak what I wanted to say?
I would hope that that's how that would go, yes.
Okay, so, I mean, that way you at least have someone controlling the meeting.
I understand the intent. My only other notes were what you already put, like I just expanded on them about the policy. So incorporating the policy and the expectations of the legislative body and the different kinds of motions within that policies and putting it where people can see it. So everyone's very clear. What are we supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
That would be a
What's an agenda,
procedural.
minutes, you know?
Yeah, that's, I referred to them earlier, meeting procedural rules, which if this went well enough, I'd be more than happy to put together a sample of those. Pretty easy, NICOM has it pretty well listed
Yeah.
out.
I think I gave some
Yeah,
previously.
you did. And sorry I didn't acknowledge you, you also supplied a very nice sample listing, so to sort of pull them all together. Very little of any of this was of my own creation, it was just the aggregate of it. Okay, so I understand your concerns with that, and that was not created with any one person in mind, it's just a standard verbiage. It seems to go, because I don't think our struggles or challenges here are unique to us either, so. And it's just taken longer than I anticipated already, but, yeah, that back part was just for us, those were instructions as far as it being a document to start from, so.
It took longer than you anticipated, but it was very important, and I thank you.
So are we in a position where we can
You
decide either,
I did a resolution, so,
Yep.
which,
oh, that's right, we said that.
so as far as I can tell, the only change is to number 4 that we just talked about, right? Huh? What's that?
I didn't
I
think of
don't
that.
have a resolution.
There you go.
So we just have to make that one change, and these can be adopted and
Okay.
appended to the resolution, and I would suggest that these, then be placed on the website.
Yes, there was, I made the recommendation on the back, it was included, that we make an attempt to abbreviate them. Maybe a nice little plaque there over on the table, just to remind anybody that's new or anybody coming in of the overall expectations of everybody. You of us of you, and we can move on.
And we can take out this line here, presented for your consideration.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that was, I really didn't expect
Right
it.
after the objective paragraph.
Can we agree to put the procedural stuff on our next
Yes.
policy discussion? So that they know what to expect from us also.
I will make that request.
Thank you.
You know, we have a beautiful room, we have a lot of antiques on the wall, so I wouldn't wanna hang that up there all the time, but I would like it posted every.
I was thinking a table tent or something like that, it sits on the table.
Right there on the bulletin board.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, definitely, and or signage, yeah, definitely, but I don't want it up there all the time because. Yeah, that's right, bulletins are bulletins.
That's a good spot for it.
All right, what do we do from there?
No, we second
So you have a motion, somebody seconded it.
You already have a motion and a second,
All in
so
favor?
as amended,
I'm sorry.
so the board will adopt a resolution of the rules of decorum as amended during this discussion, and we'll prepare a final version for appending to the resolution and for publication on the website and placing on a sign of some sort.
We can do that now, or the next meeting we do it now?
We have the resolution.
Make a motion,
No,
We already motioned.
Alright,
We just
we're
need a
gonna
vote. Need a vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you all for your cooperation.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Randy, thanks, Will.
Okay. Adopt a resolution to appoint Sergeant Granary to full-time police chief effective after Police Chief William Hurley retires. Sergeant Granary would be appointed from the village residency list, which he is well within reach.
We have a salary figure?
We don't have that yet. Well, the salary would be, whatever his salary is now, with the 35,000 Bill has on top of it, but we don't have that yet. We'll get that together. So whatever your salary is now,
$12.
35,000 on top of it.
So it's salary plus 35, plus something to do it.
Yeah, I don't,
I don't mean this second, but, so, because I did a resolution, I left the salary one. So the salary will be, the motion will be to adopt the resolution effective, Tina, you have the resolution?
now, there is some contractual things just with him. That would go through too, other contractual things in the,
Well, that would have to be a separate contract.
right, then he's
Coming out of the union.
he's coming out of the union.
Right.
Yeah.
So there'd be a separate contract on top of the 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you come to those terms, for the time being, it's, may I?
I'm sorry.
May I? Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, please.
Okay. The resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Montgomery promoting Sergeant Joseph Ranieri to the position of Chief of Police. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Montgomery hereby promotes and appoints Sergeant Joseph Ranieri to the position of Chief of Police to serve in the said capacity of the Village of Montgomery Police Department at his current salary plus $35,000. And be further resolved, said appointment shall be effective as of February 22nd, 2025, subject to all appropriate documentation being submitted and accepted by the Orange County Department of Human Resources Civil Service Department, and also the village board reserves the right to enter into a separate employment contract with Chief Ranieri at a later date, which will be subject to review and approval by the village board.
Now, further on this is not costing the village 5 cents. We're taking him and making him a full-time chief. Bill Hurley, he was a great guy, wasn't he? He's still a great guy. We believe, or I believe, the board believes that we need a full-time chief here. This village is a safe village, we're gonna keep it safe. And we've grown into a full-time chief position, and that's my definition.
Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the resolution as discussed?
I make the motion.
Is there
Second.
A second?
I'll second.
I have two quick questions. Did we, apply for and receive the approval to be reclassified as a full-time, for a full-time police
As
chief?
soon as Bill's resignation becomes law.
Okay. And then, is this the precedent we would like to set going forward to pull from our residents the qualified candidates? Excuse me if I'm not using civil service lingo properly. Is this the precedent that we're going to set going forward to pull from the residents list for the police officers, which is fine, but if that is that something that we are then beholden to? Just
Done on a, when
first
you call
come,
for a
like on
list,
a
when you
case
call
case.
for a list, it's case by case
Mhm, okay.
position.
That's it.
Okay, roll call, Deputy Mayor,
Yes, aye.
Trustee Canaro,
Yes.
Trustee Piccarello,
Aye.
Trustee Wilbur,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes,
adopted. Congratulations.
Welcome.
Okay, next up, approve Court Clerk Nelson to attend the Association Towns Conference for Court Clerk training at a cost of $1,020. Approve Judge Bassinet to attend the Association Towns training for judges at a cost of $510. Make a motion? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Well, you know I'm gonna have questions about this then. What
Okay.
what is the procedure for the approval?
Nothing, they just have to approve anything over $300 at YouTube.
So we have to ask to go if we wanna spend more than $300, which has to be approved by the board. And what is the criteria for being approved or denied? Is it finance-based? Is it
It's already budgeted in there.
Your budget,
There is.
in their own budget?
yeah.
Okay, so it's separate than ours, okay. And if we're going to training, does it always have to be put forward to for the board to approve the financial?
Mhm.
We can't go back and, no words, I'm sorry.
But seek
I get it
reimbursement.
reimbursed, yeah, so it has to be
It has.
approved ahead of time.
Generally, it's approved ahead of time.
That's it.
You have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Fine.
Opposed? Carried.
Thanks, Mayor. Second.
Next up, consider approving the appointment of the following persons as inspectors of the single election district comprising of the entire village. And first name is designated as chairperson thereof, Judy Logier, chairperson, Lisa Kimball, Victoria Mastrella, Annette Rooney, Ann Kennedy, alternate inspector, Anthony Kimball, machine operator, and Wilma Bennett as the alternate machine operator. Make a motion?
Make it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Events coming up, February 17th, the village offices will be closed for President's Day. Let's see, what do you want to do? Let's do request meetings of the board first. Mary Lippincott?
I have a couple of questions, and we didn't do reports.
That's at the end.
Oh, we're moving that to the end now?
Yes.
Is that the same going forward?
We don't know.
Just rolling with it? Okay. Shut up.
Should be fresh.
Request meeting report, Mary Lippincott, please say your name and address for the record.
Mary Lippincott, Robert Street, Montgomery. I just want to remind people that the village library has a children's computer that is all set up, and we just don't feel that it's being used enough. The other thing is, we're having a children's craft this Saturday, the 8th, from 11 to 12, and they have to register in the library, and it's free.
Thank you, Mary.
Can I ask a question about that, Mayor? And Will, you can let me know about this. Is that something I could put on our Facebook page and website to promote the event at the library? It is, it's not, there's no restrictions on
We've
it?
done it in the past.
Okay, I'll be glad to put that on for you. Not a problem. I just didn't know whether it was a separate entity, and I didn't know whether I could do it, so I figured I'd ask you while you're here.
Kevin, can you do the handicap swing that they're only getting ready for down at the park? Because a couple of people have asked about it, where it was located.
Yeah, I'll get together with her.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. Next up, Cynthia Northland, state name and address for the record, please.
Cynthia Oakland, 266 Wilson Street. Last week I had some questions on training, but I was able to obtain those answers this week prior to this meeting, so I do not require any time before the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Salvin, state name and address for the record, please.
Robert Salvin, 1 Pine Court, Montgomery. I just wanted to say about what you guys talked about today, about the quorum and rules, and subjectiveness and objectivity. There's actually laws about this. New York State Penal, I'm sure Mr. Frank is aware, and I was going to read it to you so you get the subjective part out of it. So there's a section of law obstructing governmental administration in the second degree. Sergeant Berneri will tell you we call it OGA. And it reads, a person is guilty of obstructing governmental administration when he intentionally obstructs, impairs, or prevents the administration of law or other governmental function, or prevents or attempts to prevent a public servant from performing an official function by means of intimidation, force, interference, or by means of any independently unlawful act, or by means of interfering whether or not physical force is involved, with radio, telephone, television, or telecommunication systems, blah, blah, blah. So it's already, you're not allowed to interfere with government administration. There's already penal laws and statutes for that. Also, disorderly conduct, which is a violation, is not a crime, it's an offense. Persons guilty of disorderly conduct, one with the intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk thereof. Relevant point is sub 4. Without lawful authority, he disturbs any lawful assembly or meeting of persons. The rest of it's not relevant to these meetings. So I just want to say, if you're looking to amend or have guidance on what you wrote or put together, there's some law behind it already.
Thank you.
Sergeant, soon-to-be Chief Guarneri, I have a question for you if it's allowed. In the past 6 months to a year, has there been an increase in disorderly groups, disorderly conduct, disputes in the streets, or any disorder in the streets in the village? Yeah,
Not that has been reported. no.
so peace and tranquility still exists in the village? No excessive disorderly conduct, neighbors fighting, nothing like that?
Nothing out of the norm.
Someone suggested something like that?
I'm making me say a lot of things here.
I don't see from I don't see from my front porch either, I'm just checking because there was reports of a lack of tranquility. I just want to make sure it wasn't the case, I don't see from my front porch. And as far as the First Amendment goes, the First Amendment doesn't allow all speak all the time. The courtroom, for example, is a government place, you can't go there and just talk because you feel like it. The classroom is a public place, the school is a public place, you can't even be a good witness and film a fight to provide information to the law enforcement or the school administration because it's a violation of school policy to videotape or use your phone in school. So it's not absolute just because you're in the presence of government or a public place to say what you want, when you want, how often you want, how loud you want, however you want. And that's what I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, reports, departments, Chief?
All right, as the board knows, we have the technology grant that we were awarded last year. We're currently getting quotes for LPRs and cameras for certain locations within the village. We're not looking to do a total coverage of the village, key spots like the park and entranceways, exits of the village itself, so we can actually pretty much get everyone coming and going as needed. And I know it was put out by the board about tomorrow for the phone lines. In the event anyone needs anything from the PD in an emergency, obviously just dial 911, or you can come down to the station. We're obviously still there if the phone's not working. And I do just want to take a moment to thank the board for voting to go full time. I know it is a big step for this PD, and I think it says a lot about what this department has been doing. Chief Hurley before me did make a lot of strides with this PD and really push it forward from what I understand it was. With the guys here, we are able to do a lot, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more and working with the board and working with the community. My door will always be open. I'll be there Monday through Friday. If anyone needs anything, feel free to come down.
You find it's a 24-hour job.
Oh, I know. There it is.
I'm finding that out too.
The grant you're talking about, that's the live grant, right? Same thing? Different grant? There was a live grant? That was
So
separate.
live scan is a fingerprint machine.
Okay,
That was
two separate, and then this is for the cameras.
This is a totally separate. So this is just for exterior cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard, I got a whole rundown.
Like I said, I'm sorry. Like I said to Bill when he retired, you came off the civil service list, you're a resident, we put you from the residents, but again, like I said to Bill, your guys wanted you. We could have went outside, we could have went somewhere else. Again, your guys wanted you, so.
It's not what they tell me.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, Jake?
Okay.
It's been running after you, chasing the tail.
Yeah, been busy last couple days. We're still down garbage truck, we called today, it's gonna be probably another month or so before it's done. So that's ongoing. I did look at one, waiting for some numbers. It is on state bid. Just waiting for some numbers on that, see if that a route we might have to take. And then other than that, got some snow coming on Thursday, I believe. Just want to remind residents, guys are doing great to get cars off the road and stuff, making it easy
for the guys to clean up, appreciate it, and just please continue to help us help you. That's it.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question, Jay? So we talked to someone, I can't remember who it was, they talked about cars illegally parked on the street, you mentioned
Yeah.
that. What is the mechanism that they need to do to report that vehicle being on the street? Specifically, there's this elementary school over here, this nursery school, the vet school. Somebody had parked there, they're plowing around it, it caused a lot more work for the people inside that building.
Yeah.
They had to shovel all that snow, so who do they call, the police department?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, that's a police issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
we're still working on getting our parking tickets for that.
Okay.
As far as towing the vehicles, we have to look into
Yeah,
a little more before we start doing that. Because
Yeah.
that's,
Well, it just caused them a lot more work because they had a lot
yeah,
more
'cause you
snow.
gotta go
to work
around, you gotta go around the vehicle.
I forget
What
it
was the holdup on the parking tickets? What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Money, time, ink?
Right, I thought,
find
I
out,
knew
see if
last
that's
time.
somebody can.
I've got a question for Jake, actually I do two, if you don't mind, is that all right? Sure. The truck, did they give you a reason why it's been delayed so long?
They're busy. They're the only shop around that does it, and they're extremely busy.
Okay. They're aware, I'm sure you made them aware of the
Yes.
priority situation,
Yeah.
okay, all right. And secondly, I don't want, what is our sidewalk clearing program? It seems like we clear some sidewalks, we don't the others, I'm just wondering what that was. I don't personally have a sidewalk, but I do feel for those that
Yeah.
have them.
Way back in the day, we started doing the business sidewalk
Yeah,
here on Clinton and all the way down to 11 during big storms. We've been continuing to do that as long as it's a big storm.
okay,
If it's only like an inch, even 2 inches, a machine can't take care of it. I don't want guys having to shovel all the sidewalks by hand, because that's really the only way to get rid of it. So we just take care of our own.
okay.
I get it, some of the businesses get kinda, they're like, oh, we're not gonna worry about it, because the village is gonna take care of it, and then we don't.
And that's where that came from.
It is the property owner's responsibility within 24 hours to clear the sidewalk.
Okay, do we have that on our,
I believe it's on the website.
is it on the
yes.
website?
Yeah, I believe that's on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Very good, thank you. I couldn't give an accurate answer, so I'm try to catch you before, but since you're here,
Okay,
thank you.
yep. Nope, that's it.
I'm not gonna do after for a minute.
Yep.
Something else we put on.
Tomorrow, we have a small presentation, probably about 10-15 minutes, on early signs of Alzheimer's, which is at 10. Sue Nichols will be in for health and wellness at 11:15. Our new Indian dance class starts tomorrow at 1:30. February 19th, Brandon's gonna be at the center for pre-hearing exams at 10:30. And February 26th, we have Cliff Davis talking about vital health related topics at 10:30. Our new Cherry Yoga Pilates class has been moved from Tuesday to Thursday at 12:15. And I sent you all the flyer. I've been bombarded, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll put it all.
I have the new, I'm just waiting on a printout for the new dance class, and I will get that one to you, I don't have that one yet.
Okay.
Other than that,
And the hearing, Brandon come over the hearing test, you support the local person,
mhm,
I got my hearing aids from him,
yep.
so he goes along with what we're doing, he's a good guy. All right, thank you. Kevin, why don't you go?
All right.
You had the
I'll just do quick updates, guys. There's a couple more in-depth things I wanted to bring up to the board that I could talk to the mayor about, but like our new chief said, that the phone system upgrade is scheduled for tomorrow. I did make a post on Facebook. I'm not sure if it's on the website, but you know, there could be some disruptions, yeah, while they do the porting over the numbers. The companies in Maybrook, they're very knowledgeable people, and I think the village office staff is looking forward to the new phone system. I did attend New York State Controller's online seminar, well, fiscal oversight responsibility for governing boards. It helps educate participants of the critical roles governing roles have played in ensuring fiscal responsibility. I did print out a management guide and I'll send it to the board. I only printed the first 17 pages out because it has a lot of appendices in the back, so I'll send that in. It was very informative. It was an hour-long seminar, online web seminar. This is a little longer one, but this is something that I'm hoping I can get board approval for tonight. I had spoken to the mayor about this earlier. I did attend a virtual information session about the DWSP2, which is a Drinking Water Source Protection Program. And that's offered by the DEC. And it's a free initiative, locally led program that will help us with technical assistance in municipalities creating areas of protection around our wellheads. Again, it's totally free. I'm going to go over this quickly for the board's consideration. It's free technical assistance. Municipalities receive free technical support to develop and implement customized drinking water source protection plans. Remember, a source is something before it gets to the treatment plant, so it's a source. It could be an aquifer, it could be, you know, any kind of things. It could be a stream, a river. It has community engagement involvement in it as well. It encourages community involvement and collaboration to ensure protection efforts are tailored to local needs. And it's a comprehensive plan that includes mapping water sources, identifying potential contaminant sources, and creating actionable steps. The benefits of the community are you're going to have an enhanced public health by protecting your water sources. You'll have environmental protection, preserve the surrounding environment, promoting biodiversity and ecosystem health. There'll be a cost savings, and it also allows us it would qualify us for more grants as well. So if we had this type of protection program in place, we could further get more grants because this is a big item on the DEC website. Basically, the application is due on the 28th of February to start the 25-26 year, and it's a pretty straightforward thing. There's no cost to us. The only cost, I'll be up front, I'm very transparent about this. The only upfront cost there might be is that our water consultant, WSP, we might have to incur some costs with that, you know, to get the reports from him. And it might be some cost of Lank and Tully, our engineers. But I'm really psyched about this thing, pretty passionate about it. I think it's a real good program. The DEC is going to walk us through every step of the way. And again, it's free. So if I could get a motion from the board.
You know, when you called me up about it today, it was really good, and it was nice when they said it was free.
Yeah, it's free, and it sounds like it's going to be a good thing. You know, that kind of dovetails in what we were talking about last month. We were talking about last month about creating CEAs, which are critical environmental areas. But the CEA doesn't have any teeth. There's no teeth to a CEA. It just gives the applicant or developer the knowledge, I guess, to say, look, this is a critical environmental assessment. During your seeker process, you need to look at that, right? Area, yes, area. So again, I did reach out to Mark from CAC about what his group's doing out in the town of Montgomery, and I just feel that if we had this program in place, this drinking water protection source program, and the reports from our water consultant, it would help the town as well, you know, with their water protection sources as well. So I think that, you know, moving forward with this would be a good idea.
Definitely, thank you, Kevin, thank you for that.
So I don't know if, you know, again, I don't like to just go apply for grants or programs without everybody knowing about it, and I just would like to get a motion to approve it.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, absolutely.
When you talk about.
Why don't we do a motion, second it for discussion, and then bring up your questions.
All right, make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is the motion
Second
to
for discussion.
authorize Trustee Canaro to submit the application to DEC for this particular grant?
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it's discussion.
Right.
We've talked about this grant before in past years, and I think it's a great idea, especially given the spot that we're in right now. When you talk about costs that we can incur for plans from the water hydrologist, is that to give us a plan that he's already making for other components and just having him make it specific, or is it coming out and doing an actual site visit and creating an entire new plan and presentation? And same thing for engineering. Is this going to be a small expense for just pulling work that they've already done parts of, or is it going to be?
I think it's gonna be the latter, it's gonna be part of what they've already submitted. And I think the DEC is gonna help us with the mapping part of that and work through any, if we do have to incur a cost, I will definitely bring it back to the board and say, look, here's the estimate of what it's gonna cost. And we'll try to figure out where we're gonna take it from. If we take it from the water budget, I don't know. But I just think this is a good first step. You know, I'm dovetailing into this too, and I know we have a motion on the floor, but we brought it up. Our comp plan, our comprehensive plan was approved in 2020. So best practice is updated every 5 years. So this is 2025, our comp plan needs to be updated as well. A lot of the stuff in this drinking water source protection program could be put in the comp plan as well. So we could have, you know, a comp plan, we could have possible zoning changes possibly. Maybe we have overlay districts, I don't know. But I just think this is a good first step. And, you know, I talked to the mayor about the comp plan needs to be updated as well. It's not a big update because it's the mid-year one, the 5-year one. It's the one that would come in 2030. The 2030 one would be the big one overhaul.
And what you're doing is staying ahead of the game. It's not like the rules and procedures and everything we're doing now, Pastor, from years, so.
Yeah, I just think, you know, and I think that what's come to light is that our water consultant has identified, you know, potential issues that could potentially, you know, affect our wells in a very bad way.
Yeah.
So I just think that this program, it'll help us, it's free, it's from the DEC, they're very passionate about protecting water sources, and I think it's something we can do, and we meet the deadline, so
And
it's a win-win.
Are you interested in incorporating the CEA in conjunction with that, or not at all?
The what?
The CEA, are you interested in incorporating that in conjunction with something like this project, or just not at all?
The CEA might be an actionable item that comes out of this.
Okay.
So there'll be, you know, you gotta look at your, you know, your criteria, and maybe a CEA would come up, maybe an overlay district would be appropriate, maybe a zoning change would be different, you know, those type of things. So I think that could be done in this, that's one of the actionable items at the end, I should say. So,
We have a motion and a second.
Second, all in favor?
all right, thank you.
Opposed? Carried, thank you very much.
Traffic, just a couple more things.
Sure.
There's no planning board update, the meeting was canceled. The truck bypass, there's nothing to report yet on the truck bypass, and I know it's a pretty important issue with everyone, as it is with me. Hope well number 6, we're waiting for the weather to break, correct? Jake?
Unfortunately, yeah, I got ready for the ground of thought.
That's all right. The moratorium update. So the moratorium, I contacted our village engineer. He's working on what he calls a full build-out report, which would give us our current and future water demands. We already have one of these done by Langdon Sully, but he's gonna take a more closer look and really look at all the property that could be developed in the village. So that would help us, because I know Karina had mentioned long-term planning and short-term planning, and he's gonna be reviewing all existing properties, potential properties where housing could be built, looking at the demand for water. So this would aid the board in long-term planning.
Well, rough numbers too, Kevin, we're up 5 million from last year.
You're at what?
5 million from last year. We pumped 5 million gallons more
Wow.
than last year. So we're definitely, we're growing.
We're also, you know, the pro-housing designation that we were working on, Tina has told me that she has all the information from the building department. I have all the information from the zoning, from Langdon Tully. I'll be updating that soon, you know, just to put that up there. So we should have that designation pretty quickly. That'll help us get more grants. I guess that's all I have on the meeting.
That's it, I'll go, you want you to take it from there.
You wanna go?
Why don't you go next?
I just had a question as the zoning board ZBA liaison. Do we still have appointed, open positions
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my verbiage wasn't very clear. Zoning Board of Appeals, where do we stand with filling the vacancy on that? I'm a little concerned as we near the end of a moratorium. We may, I don't know if we do have any applications in the queue.
We're open,
We do, okay.
Yes.
And if anybody were interested in the position, how do they go about?
I would tell them, like I did for trustee, I would tell them put in a resume.
Okay.
And a
Put
letter,
in an interest.
a letter of interest to the clerk.
Yeah, just put in an interest.
So if somebody's interested in a position on the zoning board of appeals, which I have to tell you, that's where I spent 25 years. Those were the good days, but,
25.
I reminisce, but yeah, it's a good place to get involved in your community, it really is. Also because people are happy to see you there, so that's always a good thing. And it's a nice opportunity to grant relief to those that make a case. So if you're interested, either come to Village Hall, drop off your resume, or if you want more information, I'll be more than willing to fill you in on all the ins and outs. That's all I think.
Thank you. You all right?
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Next one.
I wanted to see what the feedback was on the volunteer opportunities that I presented to Will and then also to the mayor and deputy mayor. I discussed it with the DPW. And I also given the information from the volunteer coordinator at the high school to Tracey, for help with events. There's a whole group of volunteers at the high school. They've come here also. They've helped out with a couple of other events. They need hours for honor society. So we had discussed a couple of programs where they could assist. I sent you, what is the feedback on that? Do you think that's something that's feasible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're covered, volunteers are covered by the village's insurance. It's viable. We'd have to work with the school to see what kind of credits they're looking for.
I do have we had done one last year, so I can give you the paperwork from the one that we did last year or year before, when Steve was still mayor, I believe. But we do need support of the board.
Right, and the thing we just need to make sure on that is what the supervision is gonna be, what level is needed. Some of it, doesn't have to be watching over somebody's shoulder, but there needs to be an understanding. And usually, for example, it's a little, we don't need this much detail, but with the town and some of the other places, there's a contract with BOCES they do, where they send students over for credit. We can model something after that, not as crazy formal, if we're using volunteers for Montgomery Day, Memorial Day, whatever or in one of the departments, there just has to be some protocol. But those are always good programs to have the students in to get credit and do what they, learn some stuff. And,
Okay.
There's no legal issue, there's no legal impediment to the village doing it, if that's your question.
Okay, so that being said, I'm hoping I can have the support of the board to move forward with Jake and Greg on a project with the DPW.
Can I ask a question? What's the name of the group that's at the Valley Central School?
It's a volunteer club.
Oh, it's
And there's
actually
a
a
teacher that
volunteer
oversees it, yeah. So what we do is we would send her the information. I have a couple of meetings with her. Sometimes I join, because I've done it with other organizations that I've done with. We join in on a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet with them, with the kids. They're given all the information ahead of time. They have a Google sheet that I can check to see how many people we have signed up, so I know we have enough people to do it. And then they usually show up and do a good job. And for the most part, I've done it for years. I did it with a triathlon and a couple of other things, and they're motivated. They're motivated for 3 to 4 hours at a time because that's what they need for their hours. But it's a great way to get them experience in the community, workforce experience, and stuff, and really understand government. So.
We would get a copy of their certificate of insurance as well.
Okay.
So the kids would be covered, really, because they're getting school credit. We have our own insurance.
Well,
but
they're
they
not
also-
getting credit, they're getting volunteer hours that they need for National Junior Honor Society. So this
Okay,
is not the
but
work
it's-
program, but.
No, but it's
could
still
be,
the
yeah.
same
Mhm,
concept.
yes.
They need it for school and need it for the honor society.
Mhm.
So we would just, one of the things we would get is just the school's insurance certificate.
Okay. So do I have the support of the board to move forward with the DPW?
I'll make the motion that we can, it's just for the DPW?
Well, we have to discuss, I've talked about it with the, PD a little bit, but the parameters for that would be more project-based, it wouldn't be riding on squad cars, obviously. But this particular project is with the DPW, and it would be quarterly, and then whatever else comes up, that'd be fine.
So it's
And
really
with
more-
events.
Oh, you all right with this? Okay, as long as you're okay.
No, you didn't come.
What?
I really don't think my guys are gonna be upset that they don't have to walk around and deliver.
I would ask, because half of my family is union, and, you know, they
Yeah,
find the
something
little
like that.
nuances in there.
Something like that, I think they'll
Wanna
last
make
I
sure.
fine.
had like a volunteer for one time that did it, and then it became something you guys.
The question was asked, so
There's a difference between public and private sector unions.
don't get me in too much trouble.
So what you have here is a motion that, perhaps not just limited to the DPW project, for the village to enter into an arrangement with the volunteer organization at the school district for various projects to be held within the village under the supervision of various village departments, subject to a formal agreement and proper insurance.
Okay.
That's the motion.
Do we need to add anything in, because the mayor directly supervises the people that are gonna be involved with the volunteers? So
Well, that would
he
be part
needs
of
to
the-
know,
Yeah.
like, if this is gonna impact your department, for instance.
Yeah.
Or whatever department else, you know. But you need to be aware of that, so you know, because you're directly supervising these guys. I don't know if you wanna add something in there for that?
Well, he's the department head, so I trust my department heads here. Obviously, wouldn't let him get into any kind of danger or something like that. If they're delivering newsletters, it'd be all right with that. But myself being also a union man, you can't have it hurt, you know, like OW says there. But I'm for it, just like with the Explorers here. You know, when this caboose comes in, because we're waiting for it, it's just a matter of bad weather and stuff like that. We're gonna need people to help paint it and fix it up and all that stuff. It's just on hold right now, but I'm all for it. I did a volunteer thing. I did volunteers like that in BOCES when I was in school. Right? I really understand this. It keeps kids off the street, and I think it's good. Again, on resumes.
Yeah.
So I'm for this.
So you have a motion. You need a second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carry.
I did submit, as far as the grants update, submitted a letter of intent to apply for 2 boards to the board on the 27th, and I did not receive an answer. And I texted with Kevin on the 30th and 31st and did not receive an answer, so we're getting too close to apply for those grants. I hope we can work a little bit better going forward on that, Kevin. I attended the Orange County Towns and Villages meeting on the 28th in Cornwall. I brought a representative from the ambulance corps and connected with Town of Monroe, Village of Blooming Grove, Village of Walden, Town of Wayanda, and county officials, and we listened to the entire presentation. Pretty much was about fleet EV vehicles. It's very interesting. I learned a lot. It was a lot. I learned about batteries and weight and guardrails and how all of those things are affected, and that everybody's having a really hard time replacing heavy duty vehicles because they're being required to get electric ones, but we don't have them, and how that works with plow. So it was a lot. So I definitely am glad I went, because I learned a lot about it. I took the webinar of fiscal oversight responsibilities. I did do like a little printout, a takeaway. If anybody wants access to it, I'll give it to Tina. And my takeaway is that we should be maintaining an open budget practice. Budgets should include long-term planning, developing and updating policies for financial and other procedures to encourage open and good government, which is what we're doing. So I'm happy that we're working on that together. And I attended also an inclusive leadership training all day on Friday the 31st. I have an overview of that as well if anybody would like it. And then I have webinars coming up tomorrow, improving the effectiveness of your claims auditing process. And I will be attending the training in the city for Orange County Towns and Villages at the end of the month. So that's my report. Short and sweet this time.
All right, with that, motion, when we got an executive session?
No.
All right, make motion to adjourn, get your snowballs ready, because the snow's coming. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Congratulations.
keep them